Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into a cat breed that, well, everyone knows for being gorgeous and super relaxed, but the Ragdoll cat. There's actually a lot more to their story, more surprising stuff than you might think. So our mission, like always, is to take the sources you sent us, pull out the really key insights, basically give you a shortcut to knowing this breed inside out. We're going to unpack five kind of lesser-known facts, stuff about their, well, pretty murky beginnings, their biology, their unique temperament. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, it's really interesting. The Ragdoll's huge popularity is kind of tied to this origin story that's frankly really contentious. It's definitely not the simple story you'd maybe expect for such a loved breed.
That is so true. Which brings us right to our first surprising fact, the controversial origin story and the enigma of Ann Baker. It all kicks off in Riverside, California. We're talking the early 1960s with a cat breeder named Ann Baker. She had this cat, Josephine, a white, long-haired Angora type, apparently semi-feral, actually.
Right. And Baker's story, the one she told, was that Josephine got hit by a car. And after she recovered, her kittens from different fathers, mind you, one looks like a Burman or maybe a tuxedo cat, another a seal point long hair. These kittens started having this really placid, super friendly temperament. They'd go totally limp when you pick them up, which, is where the name Ragdoll comes from.
But, okay, here's where it gets, kind of wild. Baker actually claimed the car accident somehow, like changed Josephine's genetics, made the kittens docile. I mean, scientifically, that just doesn't track, does it?
No, absolutely not. Modern genetics is really clear here. An injury doesn't rewrite DNA that gets passed on. It doesn't work like that. The much more likely story, careful selective breeding. And maybe Josephine just had a naturally calm temperament to pass down. Baker's marketing genius or maybe manipulation played a huge role, much bigger than any supposed genetic miracle.
And wow, what marketing skills. She trademarked the name Ragdoll. Then she set up her own group, the International Ragdoll Cat Association, the IRCA, back in '71. And she had these super strict franchise rules, demanding royalties for every single kitten sold. Pretty sharp, for a better word.
Sharp, yeah, but also deeply unconventional. Her claims got pretty outlandish. She started saying Ragdolls couldn't feel pain. We'll definitely get back to that one. And even suggested they were, like, part human or part skunk.
Yeah.
Though she did retract those later. These claims were probably meant to build hype, create this mystique, but they also really split the breeding community.
Yeah, exactly. Which is what happened. A whole group of breeders just got fed up with their business practices, these crazy claims. So they broke away. They wanted to get the breed recognized by the main groups, the Cat Fanciers Association, TICA, and Baker was totally against that.
And it was really that breakaway group, Denny and Laura Dayton, are key names here, who established the Ragdoll breed as we actually know it today. They did the hard work of standardizing the look, the temperament, basically freeing the breed from Baker's, let's say, eccentric grip. So yeah, Ann Baker started it, but it's modern success. That's down to the people who moved past her wilder ideas.
Right. And speaking of those, let's call them dangerous ideas.
Yeah.
Our second fact tackles that myth about Ragdolls being impervious to pain. You mentioned Baker spread this. It sounds unbelievable given how chill they are. But what's the actual truth?
The truth, and we need to be crystal clear, is Ragdolls feel pain exactly like any other cat, period. That docile nature, going limp when held, that's not pain tolerance, it's a behavior. It shows they're trusting, relaxed, maybe reinforced by good handling from kittenhood. It's definitely not some physiological thing where they can't feel pain.
Okay, so what's the real risk then, if owners believe this myth?
The risk is huge, actually. An owner might see their Ragdoll acting normally, even if it's hurt, and think, oh, it's fine. So they delay going to the vet. Cats in general are masters at hiding pain. It's a survival thing. But with a Ragdoll's naturally calm personality, it makes it even tougher to spot problems. Things like dental issues, arthritis, UTIs. They might not cry out or get aggressive. They just suffer quietly.
Wow. So owners need to be super vigilant then. Really pay attention to small changes, like eating or behavior, litter box stuff.
Exactly that. Vigilance is key.
Yeah.
Noticing subtle shifts. And regular vet checkups become absolutely non-negotiable. This whole idea of a tough or pain-free Ragdoll, it's just wrong, and honestly, it's harmful. Their sweet nature isn't a shield against pain.
That's a critical point.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift gears. Fact number 3. They aren't hypoallergenic, but there's less fur to worry about. People see these beautiful long coats and think, allergy nightmare. But Ragdolls are a bit different here, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a common mix-up. Let's break down the science bit. Cat allergies. They're not really about the fur itself. It's a protein, fel-D1. It's in their saliva, urine, and dander, those little dead skin flakes. When they groom, the protein gets on the fur. Then it dries, floats around, gets on everything, and that's what causes reactions.
Okay, so ragdolls do make this fel-D1 protein just like other cats.
Exactly. They definitely produce fel-D1, no question. But the interesting part is why some people with allergies seem to do a bit better with them. It's about their coat structure. Ragdolls have the semi-long hair coat, but crucially, it doesn't have a dense undercoat.
Ah, okay, so it's the lack of an undercoat. Most long-haired cats have that thick layer underneath that traps allergens.
Precisely. That undercoat holds onto dander and saliva proteins like crazy. Without it, ragdolls tend to shed less overall, and when they do shed, the hair often comes out in little clumps you can easily manage instead of just, floating everywhere as much. This might make them more tolerable for people with only mild cat allergies.
Might being the key word there. So definitely not a hypoallergenic cat.
Absolutely not. They still shed, they still produce the protein, they are not hypoallergenic. Anyone with allergies really, really needs to spend significant time with a ragdoll before deciding to bring one home. Test your reaction. fel-D1 levels can vary cat to cat too, and people react differently. Any good breeder will tell you this straight up.
Good advice. Okay, moving to fact number 4, and this one's really cool. The color point genetics are truly fascinating. I mean, that classic ragdoll, look, the seal points, blue points, it's so striking.
It really is, and the science behind it is just wonderful. It's down to a specific genetic mutation, basically, a form of temperature-sensitive albinism, often called the Himalayan gene. What this gene does is it means pigment, the color in the fur, only develops in the cooler areas of the cat's body, so the warmer torso stays light, but the extremities, ears, face mask, paws, tail, they get cooler and develop that darker color.
Is that why the kittens are born pure white? Because it's warm in the womb.
Yeah. Exactly. Inside mom, it's a consistent warm temperature all over, so the gene keeps the pigment switched off, essentially. Only after birth, when they're exposed to the relatively cooler air, do those points start to show up, usually around 1 or 2 weeks. But interestingly, the full deep color, that can actually take 2, maybe even 3 years to fully develop.
Wow, 3 years. And I read somewhere that even the environment, like the climate they live in, can affect the coat color. Is that true?
Yes, it absolutely can. It's a fantastic example of genetics meeting environment. So a ragdoll living in a really warm place might actually have lighter points compared to one in a colder region. And here's a cool thing. If a ragdoll needs surgery and a patch of fur is shaved, when that fur grows back because the skin underneath is now cooler, the new fur will often come in darker initially. Then it might lighten up again as it grows longer and gets warmer near the body. It just makes their coloring not just pretty, but this kind of ongoing scientific display.
That really is fascinating.
Okay.
Okay, 5th and final fact for this deep dive. Let's bust a myth. They are not a one-trick pony. They come in a variety of patterns and colors. Most people just picture that classic color point ragdoll, right? But there's actually way more variety.
Oh, absolutely. Depending on the cat association, like the CFA, the Cat Fanciers Association, they officially recognize 3 main patterns: color point, mitted, and bicolor. And the 4 traditional colors are seal, blue, chocolate, and lilac. But other groups recognize more. You'll see reds, which are sometimes called flame points, creams, and even torties.
Okay, let's quickly describe those main patterns so everyone's clear. Color point, that's the one most people know. Pale body, dark points on the ears, face, paws, tail, no white markings.
Right. Then you have mitted. Similar idea, dark points, pale body, but they have these distinct white mittens on the front paws and white boots that go up higher on the back legs, plus a white chin and often a little white stripe or blaze on the nose.
And the bicolor, which I think looks amazing. Again, pale body, dark points, but the big giveaway is this large white inverted V shape on the face. It goes from the chin up between the eyes, and they usually have white on the chest, belly, and all 4 legs too. It gives them a real masked look.
And beyond those core 3, you've got other variations too, like lynx point, which means they have tabby or stripy markings within their colored points, and tortie point, or tortoise shell point. These have patches of red or cream mixed in with the other point colors. And here's a neat genetic fact. Torties are almost always female. You need 2 X chromosomes to get that mix of colors. So a male tortie ragdoll, that's incredibly rare, a real genetic anomaly. So cool. So loads of different looks, stripes, patches, mittens, masks, but they're all still ragdolls underneath, right? Same gentle nature, same blue eyes, just Unique packaging. Wow. Okay, what a dive that was. The Ragdoll really is so much more complex than just, a pretty cat that likes to flop. You've got this mix of really controversial history, some super interesting genetics, and this temperament that's wonderful, but also, like we said, a big responsibility for owners.
It really is. And I think, looking at the bigger picture here, understanding these things about ragdolls,
Yeah.
it helps us appreciate the breed more, absolutely. But maybe it also prompts a bigger question for you, the listener, to think about. What does the ragdoll story, this blend of, let's face it, human invention, scientific reality, and myths that just won't quit, what does it tell us about how we view and how we create and how we care for the animal companions in our lives? Especially considering the responsibilities that come with their unique traits, both the genetic ones and the behavioral ones. That is definitely something to mull over. A great thought to end on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep asking questions, stay curious, and we'll catch you next time.